The following is a presentation of Studio Audrain, powered by the Mexico Ledger.
And good morning. Welcome into another edition of Community Matters, a Studio Audrain production. I'm your host, Sky Strauss, and with me is one of our Audrain County Commissioners, Leslie Meyer. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
And Leslie, I understand that you're pretty big in the National Association of Counties, and you recently went on a trip to Washington, D.C.
I did.
Tell us a little bit about that.
The National Association of Counties is our national organization for county government, and we advocate at the federal level to try to get different priorities passed, such as getting a new farm bill passed, which is long overdue, as well as trying to push forth with new rural development programs. And also, most recently, a NACO win has been the passage of the Secure Rural Schools Act.
And tell us a little bit about what NACO itself is. I know you've been to a couple rural communities. Tell us a little bit about your recent travels.
DC was the first one, and that was with the fly-in. And then I was also in Oregon learning more about green energy projects and what those counties are doing to not only attract, which we're not necessarily attracting here in Audrain County, but they're also utilizing the projects that they have to help build revenue for those counties. And so I was wanting some more information on things like data centers and wind projects, just so we can be prepared here in Audrain County.
And this recent Washington trip, what did you discuss? What was some of the highlights?
Well, for me personally, with Audrain being so strong on agriculture, we wanted to talk about the Farm Bill and the things that the farmers are needing across the country. And one of those is the extreme cost of inputs for our crops. So back in 1980, when my dad farmed, he was paid just about the same amount that a farmer today in September was paid. However, my dad profited about 96 cents a bushel, and farmers today are losing around 73 cents per bushel, depending on the output cost. And that's including the yields. So we have higher yields today than what we did 40 years ago. So we're losing even more money. And you can ask any farmer, and payouts are fine, but they would rather have a competitive market where they can earn a living instead of taking government handouts.
And I understand that in rural communities, a lot of rural communities now, rural hospitals are a big topic of discussion. Was there any sort of discussion like that at this recent trip?
There was. So they recently passed in the One Big Beautiful Bill a substantial amount of money for rural health care. However, the federal government put the Center for Medicare in charge of that, and so they put restrictions on it. And those restrictions included no new construction. So if you're one of 300 communities across the country whose hospital is closed, it's either going to take millions upon millions to get your hospital structure back with today's standards and regulations, or you are going to have to build and construct a new facility. And what they did with that restriction was basically take all 300 of our communities and kind of handcuff us and make sure that that money would go to those communities that are more metro but are on the fringes of rural. And I thought it was important to share Audrain County's story with our senators and congressmen and let them know that while we were trying to be fiscally responsible, they really just handicapped the whole situation. And they shouldn't really advertise it as helping rural health care, because it's not really helping rural health care. It's helping being on the fringe of rural.
And what are our next steps? What are your next steps as a commissioner?
Well, it was really interesting because I shared our story for Audrain County during a presentation from one of our resource partners. And when our NACO president, J.D. Clark, heard about it, he actually had a meeting with the White House staff later that afternoon, and he was able to share Audrain County's story and how these regulations are hurting us with the rural healthcare dollars that were allocated, which is really exciting to know that our story and our struggles for the past 5 years have been told to the Trump administration. Obviously, our goals as a commission is just to keep getting our stories out there and trying to get changed, whether it's at the federal level through NACO or if it's a state level through the Missouri Association of Counties.
That's wonderful. Well, Thank you for stopping by today and giving us a little bit of an insight. Hope you had a wonderful trip, and here's to many more. Yes. Again, this has been another edition of Community Matters with Studio Audrain, powered by the Mexico Ledger.